Hello, everybody. Welcome to this edition of Mr. J's Geek Corner. Place we talk about anything and everything that is geek, whether it be TV, comics, movies, video games. And this week, I'm going to do my review of probably the most divisive comic book movie I have ever seen. I have ever heard spoke of, and that is Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. And what I mean by divisive is there's been so much in the media about it, like so much negativity, and you rarely even hear any good talked about it or anything. And all you hear is so much negativity about it. So today I want to bring you I'm gonna bring you my review of it. Um, I'm bringing my review of it, and I'm gonna say it's from an objective point of view, it's from a fan's point of view, definitely. I mean, there's been so many fans out there giving a review of it, but there's also been a lot of those have been negative too. So I'm gonna say a more positive review of it. So, um, so sit back and enjoy. And I'm gonna just say, if you've not seen the movie, don't want it spoiled, turn away now and come back to this video after you've seen the after you've seen the movie, and then come back and watch this. But if you want to hear spoilers, you've already seen it. I'll just say spoiler alert anyway. But sit back and get ready to enjoy my review. And also, I have a few thoughts after this for all the negative reviews. So definitely stay tuned. So it's definitely going to be a packed show in so little time. But start off my review. Um, start off things. You start off with how Man of Steel ended. It basically you show Batman's origins, a little brief of Batman's origins and everything, and then you see. I don't really need to go in depth about that. Batman's origins, Batman's origin. Then you've got showing what happened at the end of Man of Steel, that whole ending, and Bruce essentially seeing that the devastation that it caused him and people he cared about, and his office building and everything, all of his employees, and he essentially starts harboring this deep hatred of Superman. And then there's Superman, but they flash forward to a few years later. The whole world's still reeling for the fact that there is this man in the world that could do all these amazing things, and the fact that he's an alien from another planet and all this stuff is still reeling from that whole thing that happened in Man of Steel. And by then, there's a lot of folks that have grown to trust him. Basically, a lot of folks that worship him. They built him a statue, and of course, there's a few embittered people, like there's a certain the guy that Bruce helped out of the rubble wound up losing his legs. He pulled himself on top of the statue and spray painted the words "False God" on the Superman statue, and basically harbors a deep-seated grudge against Superman. And during all this time, you're introduced to Lex Luthor, who instead of like this big businessman, he's still a businessman, but he's like a scurvy little worm, a little rat that's just skittering around everywhere trying to get into everything like a little mischievous youngin. And to tell you the truth, it is like a lot of other folks saying he's like, including my wife Ellen, is basically saying he's more Joker than Lex, the way he acts in this movie. But he starts manipulating everything, and he comes into this material and as part of the beginning of the movie, they find this thing out there at the wreck side of the world engine out there in the Indian Ocean, and and of course, what did they end up finding? What is this material they find? Kryptonite, and they basically he gets his hands on it, and Batman winds up stealing it from him later on. But basically, this whole thing is the world starts sowing distrust in Superman and everything, and as part of it, he acts like he's going. And he gives this crippled man, the man with no legs, hates Superman so much, he gives him a little motorized wheelchair, and sure enough, while they're in there, they called Superman before Congress to stand up for what he did and all this stuff. And there was also this incident at the beginning of the movie, the overseas incident where like he killed a bunch of people, and he really didn't. He just went after the main head of the whole gang of warlords, and also, and while he's standing there, he come to find out that the chair with the man in it was nothing more than a ploy to get a bomb into the place and blow everybody up. And the only one standing there alive is Superman, who about bursts into tears. Like, it just pains him so much that they're doing this to him. And it goes on, and as the movie progresses, Batman starts getting more and more angry towards Superman, more distrustful and everything. And finally, after all this, you finally get to the main event, which is Batman versus Superman, basically the marquee event of the movie. But another thing, all this time, during this time, he basically takes Zod's corpse and puts Lex and mixes it with his own blood and goes into the regeneration into the chamber, the growth chamber with Zod's body, puts it in there and puts his own DNA with it and winds up creating his own thing, which I'll get to later. Basically he manipulates Superman into a fight, into fighting Batman, and basically he's got his mother held hostage in a location, and he wants a fight. He just wants Batman to kill Superman. And I'm gonna say it, that's kind of symbolic, but I'll get to that later. But basically he goes there to try to talk Batman out of it, and Batman's not gonna have any of it. He's done got his mind made up. He's gonna try to kill Superman himself. And it's a right good fight, other than the fact that, of course, Batman uses kryptonite, the one he stole from Lex, to make weapons out of, make gas out of, make a spear out of. He almost does, and he does get Superman at his mercy. Of course, hey, when you got the little green rock, you're going to have him at your mercy anyway. But without that little green rock, I'm going to just say this, Superman would have killed him. But beside the point, Lois finally finds him, stops him. He's basically but wait, I'm getting a little bit ahead. He basically says to Batman the name Martha. Batman's like, why'd you say it? He stops him. He's like, why'd you say that name? Why? And Lois finally arrives and stops him and says it's the name of his mother. And basically that's the whole thing that stops him, is the fact that Martha is his mother's name, and it basically has a sentimental place in his heart. And basically you got to say his mother's being held hostage, all that stuff, and that's what makes Batman back off. And and basically Superman goes while Batman's off trying to find Martha, Superman goes off about to tear Lex in half. But he finds him at the ship and finds out what he's made. He's essentially took Zod's body and made Doomsday out of it. That's right, Doomsday. And they start this whole big fight and everything, trying to stop him. It basically actually stops him from killing Lex, because the Thing's about to kill Lex. And there's this big fight, and eventually Batman does save Martha and arrives at the same. I love that there's an exchange. There's a cue from Batman from the Dark Knight Returns in there. The whole thing, like, I'll shoot her, believe me, I'll do it. He says, I believe you, and then stops him. It's basically the whole thing punching through the wall and grabbing the guy through the wall and all that stuff from the books. And he basically goes over there and says, he said, I'm a friend of your son's. She says, I can see that. The cape. I thought it was pretty good. Excuse me, man. And Batman goes over there and tries to help out in the battle with Superman and Doomsday. Tries to head over there and help Superman out, and he gets shot down in the process because of the fact that Doomsday is so messed up, and that his DNA is so messed up. He's basically soaking energy from everywhere. He's like infinitely powerful, and his heat vision is now not just no longer heat vision; it's heat breath now too. It's basically like Godzilla spewing out atomic breath. It's the same thing, and shoots down Batman. Just when you think Batman's about to get vaporized, then probably the best music cue of the entire movie hits. You hear this, you suddenly see these two bracelets there, and you hear the music and everything. There's Wonder Woman. I mean, they've been building her character up throughout the entire movie, right from the first time her and Bruce met. They've been building her up throughout the entire movie, and now you get to see her in action. But you hear the music hit, and there she is, like, and you automatically know in the back of your mind somebody's going to get their butt kicked. And basically, it's her against Doomsday. I don't know I forget what Superman's doing at the time. I don't know if he's been knocked down because of him. He's still trying to. And but she joins in the battle, and they're just wailing on him and everything, and nothing seems to be working. I think eventually Superman flies him up into space. And I know what happened. Superman flew him into space, and they hit him with a nuclear weapon. And Doomsday winds up rocketing back to Earth with nothing, without a scratch on him, and basically soaks up all the nuclear radiation, starts like molting and everything, and starts getting the trademark spiky protrusions out of his shoulders and everything like that. He starts looking more like Doomsday, because before he was just like nothing. He was still Doomsday. He just didn't have the spikes, and he started shedding his skin, growing the spikes and everything. While Superman's up there in the atmosphere, recovering, Batman and Wonder Woman trying to take care of Doomsday. And basically, it's another scene right out of Dark Knight Returns of Superman basically piecing back together and healing up from the nuclear weapon hit, and he finally recovers and comes back to Earth, and just in time for the three to stand there. The big three finally get to see that team up against Doomsday, and eventually they start figuring out that this is not going to go well because we can't stop this creature. And they finally figure out, hey, kryptonite can stop him. And they go, and I think at that time, I think Lois has already figured it out. She goes and tries to get this spear, and Superman hears her off in danger and goes and gets her. And the spear, it said, this will stop. They're basically like, this will stop him. And before he goes off, he tells Lois he loves her. Finally tells Lois, I love you. And then goes off to try, I think kisses her one more time, smiles at her, and then flies off. And basically just rams the thing into his chest, in Doomsday's chest. But then the moment that caught me off guard, Doomsday right through Superman's chest with the, because at that point, Wonder Woman had sliced his arm off. I know I'm leaving a lot out, but this is just a brief sum up of it. He basically has cut it off, but he's grown this spiky mace and big spike in the middle of his arm, what's left of it. Basically made a weapon out of it. But he basically impales Superman with that. And then he doesn't have enough leverage to hit it, so he pulls himself more up on that spike to ram that thing in his chest, the spear in his chest more. And in killing him, he's basically about to kill himself in the process. He's basically laid down his own life in the process, and it basically has a very, very somber ending to it. That they basically Batman lowers him down to Lois, and he's dead. Superman. We've just had the first death of Superman movie ever. And to tell you the truth, I didn't see this coming. I really did not. It was such a great scene. And then you see at the end of it, the whole thing, you see the printing off the paper, and Superman's dead. And you see there is a funeral, and they're basically having a wake at the Kent residence, making it, and basically they've made it look, also he turns in the paper, and you see Clark is also dead. And you basically see a wake at the Kent residence for Clark and everything, and then there's the whole funeral for a friend sequence, all in one thing. Basically, you see this whole processional behind the Superman cast. Whole time they're playing Amazing Grace on bagpipe, and I'm gonna just say it. I was in tears. I was in tears. It was just such a beautiful scene. But I mean, there was two simultaneous funerals going on at the same time while they're burying an empty casket with Superman in it in Metropolis with the ash shield complete on the casket and everything. They are also building. They are also kind of old fashioned looking, carrying a old fashioned funeral wagon carrying Clark in a plain pine box out to his grave. I mean, it's just such a beautiful scene. And they said that, there's this whole exchange at the end, and during the movie they basically unveiled there's the whole thing with all these other there's the other metahumans. There's the cameo by the Flash, Aquaman, and Cyborg. It basically shows them. It shows the origin of Cyborg. Shows the Flash in a convenience store camera stopping a robbery, and basically shows Aquaman wanting to be left alone, which was actually pretty cool. I actually liked the Aquaman cameo the best of all of them. And there are other things I'll highlight in a minute. But basically, they said and basically saying we need. And between that time, Batman basically shows up in Lex's cell, and he is saying there's somebody they're saying it's like he's coming and he's hungry, and basically the entire time, including what I'm gonna highlight later, they've been trying to insinuate Darkseid is coming, and the hordes of Apocalypse are coming to Earth to try and destroy it. And he basically says that he's coming and he's hungry. And it's basically just alluding to that. And the end of it is just Wonder Woman and Diane and Bruce up there basically at his grave, at Clark's grave, going and basically having a change. Said we need to find them. We need to find them, and be ready for whatever comes. Because they said we need to. He said I owe him that much. He said we need to keep this world safe. He said I owe him that. And at the end, they show Lois throwing some dirt down on the grave, and they just leave you there in the grave on top of the cat. They're on top of the casket for just a few seconds, and all of a sudden you see it rise up just a little bit to show you that he's not 100% dead, that he will be back. And then it just goes to black. And basically, I'm gonna say it. This movie, and that's basically just a brief synopsis of the movie. I said I left a few things out. I'll get to them in just a minute, but I'm gonna say it. What movie are these critics watching to get such a bad disdain and distaste for it? This movie is a 5-star, 10-star, 2 thumbs up, ever how many appendages you can stick up, masterpiece. 2 thumbs, 2 toes up, 10 toes up, 10 fingers up, masterpiece. 2 arms up if you want to do it. This is a great piece of cinema. And I want to know what in the world were these people watching to get such a nasty review of it. I heard some nasty reviews. Even all the way back to January, there was one guy who put out some negative flack for it, and folks started worrying. Next thing you know, the critics started all these nasty, nasty reviews. And I want to know what they were watching. I want to know what version they were watching, because the version I saw was a masterpiece. And the fact there's probably an R-rated cut out, I wonder if will that make it even better. Because this was a great, great movie. It's a masterpiece. The scene with Batman and the scene with Superman's funeral end of it, that whole thing, that's worthy of an Oscar right there to me. That is Oscar worthy. It was a great, great film. And and I'm gonna say there's fans out there that have had nasty reviews of it. There's critics particularly, and I kind of tend to think that the critics have influenced a lot of the fans, because influenced a lot of folks. Because you see, in the days after this movie's come out, there's been so many more. Every day is a thing trying to document the failure of Batman v Superman. I think the media and the critics have influenced the people way too much on this subject. I think it's way too influential there because so many negative reviews, and yet it's still made so much money and it's still making a ton of money, and yet all they could do every day is it dropped, it's not going to be profitable, it's not going to make it to $1 billion, it'll be lucky if it makes it to 900 million, all this stuff, all this negative flack. And I've heard some flack from fans too. Even friends of mine, I've heard some flack. There's some that said they didn't like the ending because Superman died. There's one friend of mine said he didn't like it. He was surprised I liked it. He didn't like it because he thought they killed him too quick and thought it was too soon. And he was surprised that I liked it because but still I think it was perfectly done. To tell you the truth, if you want to know the honest goodness truth, I actually plotted this same situation out in my head of how they should do these movies. Is that Superman should be killed, and it should spur the creation of the Justice League. And when Superman returns, he could take over leadership of the Justice League. He will be the leader of the Justice League. That's how I envisioned it. And I think that's what's going to happen. And to see it come, it just fills me with joy. And I'm going to say it, I respect everybody's opinion, but at the same time, I think a lot of people's opinion has been molded by what the critics have said. And I'm going to say, don't listen to the critics. And don't listen to all this negativity in the media. I've read articles over the last 2 weeks like, this is like Superman should have stayed dead in the movie for this reason and that reason. And this movie, I've just heard so much visceral venom and hatred of this movie. And I don't know, and I will say it don't merit it. There's been so many people, I've read comments on YouTube. I've not seen that many good reviews of it, but these people should do reviews too. Because they talk about how awesome this movie was and how great it was, and yet it just keeps getting covered over by all the negativity. And I'm gonna say this: I think the critics already had a preset mindset. And same with the media. I think they already had their mindset they're going to hate this movie, and they still saw it, and they still hate it. And again, there's some people I think out there that have got there. I think there's some critics out there that went out there to do this. They went out there to see this, but the fact is, they went there with their Marvel blinders on. They went on out there with their Marvel colored glasses so sunk into their forehead they couldn't see anything but Marvel, and they just automatically say it stinks. But I'm saying is, there's more out there than just Marvel, you know. The fact that DC is just now caught up to the party, and they come out with such a good entry, 2 good entries like Man of Steel, and now Batman v Superman. What's the problem? This was a great, great movie. And I'm going to say it, there are some fans out there, I think, that hated this movie, like IGN. I'm going to say it like IGN's reviews and reviews of ones like that, like the mainstream geek sites and stuff that I've seen that have such negative reviews. Here's what I think. This is just my opinion now. I said I respect other opinions, but here's my opinion of it. I think that there's some folks out there that are so mad that because Batman did not kill Superman. They wanted to see a knockdown, drag-out fight and see Superman dead on the ground with Batman over him, with his foot on his neck and his blood on his spear, turn toward the camera and say, because I'm Batman. That's why they hate it. That's why some of them, I think, hate this movie, because that's not what happened. Because they're so ingrained and so lost to bat worship that they just, I think they're just so lost in Batman. They just can't see anything else, and that's what they just hated. That it was Doomsday that killed them, and not Batman. They wanted a knockdown, drag-out fight in which Batman kills Superman, and then later on, Superman teams up with Justice League. And my question is, why would he do that? If you were the 2 biggest heroes in the world and one killed the other one, you think they would honestly, the other one, the latter, would come back to life and team up with the person that killed him? No! That doesn't make any sense. That kind of explanation doesn't make any sense. But, and like I said, the fact that they wanted so badly, it sounded like so bad that they wanted Batman to kill. I was like, there's some folks out there they're not only mad by that, but they're mad that the movie was not Batman versus Batman, Dawn of Batman, because I'm Batman. I know that's a little far out, but still, there's folks out there that think that. I said, I respect everybody's opinion, even though I don't agree with it. And I definitely don't agree with that because there are other characters out there than Batman, you know. I know there are other characters out there, Superman too, but I'm all for everybody gets a chance. And the fact, like I said, this movie could not have been better. Could not have been better. The only way it could have been better is if you somehow teased Green Lantern in there somewhere. And it's just, and I said, I think some of those out there that said they can't just, they're all hardcore. They're either so hardcore Batman or so hardcore Marvel that they could not. It's just sad, you know. There's not more good reviews out there of this movie because there's so many other folks that are like me that love this movie and share my opinion of it. But I haven't heard them. I only hear them in YouTube video remarks and comments of Batman v Superman related stuff and everything. I hardly even hear a good review of it. And personally, I would love to hear a good review but it's overshadowed by all this dark negativity. And it just makes me so sad. It makes me so angry every time I look up something about Superman, and it's always something putting down Batman v Superman. And all I can say is pipe down and actually watch the movie. And to the media, quit trying to sway people's opinions of this. I mean, it's a great movie, and yet they want it to fail. And I don't know why. And as I said before, the other little aspects of the movie, like the nightmare sequences, they're saying now that that's supposed to be not dreams, but visions of the future. And there's one particular scene there where Superman kills Batman, spoiler alert, in the nightmare sequence that's right straight out of the scene in Injustice, Gods Among Us, the video game and the comic, where Superman kills the Joker. He actually says the line like, "She was my whole world and you took her from me." And he plunges his hand into his chest and rips his heart out. He did the same thing to the Joker. He did the same thing to Batman in this movie. And also you see a glimpse of Flash running backwards from the future, which they're saying is like a nod to, it leads to possible crisis on Infinite Earths type rumblings. And I say that got me thinking like, well, maybe that's possible too, because you get to see a futuristic looking Flash. And like I said, this movie's just so well done. And I personally cannot wait to see the R-rated cut when it hits DVD. I personally cannot wait. So definitely, this is a great movie. I wouldn't recommend it for taking little kids to see it because it is a bit dark. And also, it's a bit dark. And I mean, it's dark. But you know the saying, night's dark is just for the dawn. And this is the dawn of justice. And also there's a little sneak peek of what they might find in the R-rated cut. There was a deleted scene put online of where they find Lex in the Kryptonian ship. And there's this creature in there with these two boxes there. And we, the fans, know who it is. It's Steppenwolf, one of Darkseid's generals, holding two mother boxes there. And that's what it looks to be. It's really leading towards Justice League. It's going to be awesome. And, but that's just, again, as it says in the description, these are my opinions. There's a lot of folks that share my opinions. And anybody with an opposite opinion of mine, please be respectful when you're commenting. And please be respectful of our opinions, of others' opinions. Don't be nasty about it, because I've seen a lot of nasty stuff on the set online about this. Please be respectful of my opinions and respect of others, especially if you comment on this video. Because I respect your views, whether, even though they be opposed to mine or not. Just be respectful when you comment. But what do y'all think? Did y'all like this? What do y'all think of this movie? Did y'all love this movie? Did y'all give it a 2 thumbs up, 5 stars, 10 stars like I did? Let me know. Did y'all hate it? Why did y'all hate it? What was y'all favorite part? What part didn't you like particularly good? Let me know in the comments below, as always. And as y'all, and I guess that's all for this edition of Mr. J's Geek Corner. Um, as always, you have any comments whatsoever about the show, drop me a line in the comment box. I'd love to hear what y'all have to say. Like, subscribe, share with your friends, tell all your friends, and definitely go see Batman v Superman. Do not let the critics influence your decision. They're paid to give good or bad reviews. Go judge for yourself. Go experience it for yourself, whether you like it or not. Definitely, if you haven't seen it yet, that is. And if you have seen it, let me know what you think. As again, drop in the comments below. If you have any ideas about the show, of what you want to hear me talk about on here, drop your ideas in the comment box. I'm always looking for fresh new things to talk about and discuss on this show, so definitely drop them in the comment box. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your ideas, and I'll see y'all next time.